Today we are going to discuss the series solution when x equal to 0 is a regular singularity of the equation p naught of x y double prime plus p1 of x y prime plus p2 of x y equal to 0. In fact, you can write this equation in this manner too: y double prime plus a small p of x y prime plus a small q of x y equal to 0. In fact, here you can see I have substituted for p1 of x by p naught of x equal to this small p of x, and p2 of x over p naught of x equal to a small q of x. In fact, the point x equal to 0 is called a singular point of this equation. Let us say this equation is 1 when p0 of 0 will be equal to 0. So you can say x equal to 0 is called singular point or singularity. You can say singular point of equation 1 when p0 of 0, it means when x is 0, then this coefficient p0 of x is equal to 0. In fact, now we will define a regular singularity. What this term regular singularity means, we will now see. So you can see, if we find the derivatives of all orders of x into px and x square into qx, and you find that derivatives of this x into px and x square into qx are found in the neighborhood of x equal to 0. In fact, in that condition, we say that this x equal to 0 is a regular singular point of this equation 1. So what I have told you, if x into p of x and x square into q of x possess derivatives of all orders in the neighborhood of x equal to 0, then x equal to 0 is called regular singular point, or you can say regular singularity, regular singularity of equation 1. So this is the condition that if x px and x square qx possess derivatives of all orders in the neighborhood of x equal to 0, in fact, then this point x equal to 0 is called a regular singularity of this equation 1. In fact, when x equal to 0 is a regular singularity of this equation 1, then at least one of its solution is in the form of a particular series, which I am going to mention here. You can see, according to Frobenius method, when x equal to 0 is a regular singularity of 1, then at least one of its solution, not all of the solution, at least one of its solutions can be expressed as how we will express it. This can be expressed as y equal to x to the power m into a naught plus a1x plus a2x square and plus so on. Or in compact form, you may write it in this manner: summation over k from 0 to infinity ak x to the power m plus k. This is actually its solution, one of its solution. When x equal to 0 will be a regular singularity of this given equation 1. Now actually we will find the technique, or you can say the rule, so that these coefficients a1, a2, a3 and so on can be evaluated to get the proper solution. So for finding these coefficients, we follow the following steps. First of all, we will have to find the derivative y prime and y double prime from this equation 2. So first of all, find dy by dx. You can see this equation 2, and from this equation we will find dy by dx. When you say dy by dx, it means y prime. So y prime, you can see this will be summation over k m plus k ak x to the power m plus k minus 1, you can see. And since here this k is if 0, then you can see this term does not vanish, so the limits for summation will run from 0 to infinity. You know, this m is actually a positive or negative or even fractional, positive negative integer, you can say, and apart from its positive negative integral value, it has also fractional values. So this is also fractional. So m will be either an integer, positive or negative, or any fraction. So this is y prime. Now after finding this y prime, we will find d2y by dx square, and it means y double prime. So again differentiate this term, and after differentiating this we will get summation over k m plus k into m plus k minus 1 ak and x to the power m plus k minus 1. And here again the limits of summation is from 0 to infinity, because putting k equal to 0, the term does not vanish. Now after finding these derivatives y prime and y double prime, we will substitute the values of y prime and y double prime in the given equation which I have defined here, that is in this equation 1. So now substitute the values of y prime and y double prime in equation 1. First of all, we will substitute it. And now after substituting these values, what we will do, you can see that we will equate to 0 the coefficient of lowest power of x in that equation. And when you will actually equate the coefficient of lowest power of x of that equation, you will find a quadratic equation in M. And in that, in fact, in that very quadratic equation is known as indicial equation. So our second step will be what? Our second step is equate to 0 the coefficient of lowest power of x, lowest power of x. And when you will equate to 0 the lowest coefficient of lowest power of x, then what you will get? You will get a quadratic equation in M. This gives a quadratic equation in M. And this equation means quadratic equation, is called indicial equation. And from this indicial equation we will find the roots of quadratic equation, and you know quadratic equation has two roots. So actually two values of this M will be obtained. So roots of, let us say roots M1 and M2, these are actually the two values of M. M1 and M2 are obtained from the indicial equation. So this is our second step, which we will follow while solving such type of problems. Now in next step, we will equate to 0 the other powers of x. And when you will equate the other powers of x to 0, then you will actually find the values of coefficients a1, a2, a3 and so on in terms of a0. So let us now equate to 0 the other powers of x, to find a1, a2, a3, so on in terms of a0. In terms of a0, equating the other powers of x to 0, we will find the values of coefficients a1, a2, a3 and so on. And after finding these values of a1, a2, a3 and so on in terms of a0, now in next step we will substitute the values of a1, a2, a3 and so on in this equation 2. You can see in this equation these values of the coefficients a1, a2, a3 and so on are substituted. So now substitute the values of a1, a2, a3 and so on in equation 2, which I have shown you just. And when you will actually substitute these values of a1, a2, a3 and so on in equation 2, actually then you get a series solution of equation 1 having only one arbitrary constant a0. So in fact, after this substitution, what we will get? Substitute these values of a1, a2, a3 in equation 2 to get the series solution. The series solution of equation 1 having a0 as arbitrary constant. It means when you will substitute these coefficients in equation 1, you will get not 1 but 2, then you will get the series solution of the equation, and that solution actually contains only one arbitrary constant, and that arbitrary constant is a0. But you know, since this is a second order differential equation, so definitely for the complete solution there must be two arbitrary constant in its solution. So you can say that we do not get a complete solution of equation 1. So you can say obviously this is not a complete solution of 1. Why? Since the complete solution must have two independent arbitrary constants. Why? Because you know the equation is of second order, so definitely its solution should contain two independent arbitrary constants. So we have not got actually till now the complete solution. Actually, the method of complete solution depends on the nature of the roots of the initial equation. So you can say complete solution depends on the nature of the roots, which I have denoted by the symbol m1 and m2, roots m1 and m2 of the initial equation. So what are the possibilities, and you can say what are the different situations or conditions or cases under which we will find the complete solution of this equation. So let us consider the first case. In this first case, we consider that the roots m1 and m2 of the initial equation are different, that is distinct, and they are not differing by an integer. So first case we consider is when the roots m1 and m2 of the initial equation are distinct. Remember, these roots are distinct, that is different, and not differing by an integer. Mark this. It means difference of m1 and m2 is not equal to an integer. It means that maybe that this difference will be actually fractional, not integral values. So if you find that the roots m1 and m2 of the initial equation are different, and at the same time the difference of these two roots are not an integer, in fact in this condition we will write the complete solution of this equation in this form. So then the complete solution is, in fact we will have actually two solutions, one for the root m1 and another for the root m2. So we will obtain first solution for root m1, and then we will obtain the second solution for root m2, and after the linear combination of these two solutions we will get the complete solution. And when you say we will find the linear combination, how you will find the linear combination? Actually we multiply the two solutions by arbitrary constant and simply added them. So let us consider the first arbitrary constant is c1, and then we will multiply by this c1 to the first solution. If you write this first solution y at m equal to m1, you can also write it y1, and then we will again consider the second arbitrary constant c2 and multiply this second solution. Second solution means value of y for m equal to m2, and after this linear combination we will get actually the complete solution. You can see in this solution there are two arbitrary constants. First one is c1, another is c2. So finding the solution for m equal to m1 and m equal to m2, we will simply combine those two solutions linearly, and linear combination means we will multiply by arbitrary constants to these two solutions and we will add them, and after that we will get actually the complete solution of this equation. But remember, this method will be followed when m1 and m2, that is the two roots of the initial equations, are distinct and they are not differing by an integer. It means difference of m1 and m2 is not an integer, that will be actually fractional. Now the second case which most probably appears in our problems. So what is that second case? In fact, in this second case we have problems in which the roots of the initial equations m1 and m2 are in fact equal. So you can say when the roots of initial equation m1 m2 are equal, that is, you can say this m1 is equal to m2, and if both are equal you can say that this is equal to mc. So if roots of the initial equation m1 and m2 are equal, in fact in that condition we find the complete solution in this manner. then the complete solution is, we will write this complete solution y equal to an arbitrary constant C1 into the solution y when m is equal to m, because here m has one and only one value, and plus another arbitrary constant C2, and then we will actually find del y by del m. And after finding the value of del y by del m, we will put at the place, you can also say that this is m1, because here m1 m2 both are same. So then we will find del y by del m, and after finding this we will substitute m equal to m1, and this will actually give the complete solution in this condition. It means when the roots of initial equations are equal, then the complete solution is found in this manner. First of all, we will obtain the value of y, and then we will multiply this y by an arbitrary constant C1 when m is simply m1, and then we will differentiate y with respect to m, and then again we will put the value of m and multiply by another arbitrary constant C2, and we will add these two terms, and after addition you will get actually the complete solution of that given equation. So these are actually the most important situations, although situations may be other than these two, but we will consider only these two situations, because in physical problems, because you know we have a particular relation with physics or physical problems. So in physical problems, most probably these two situations comes. So I am going to discuss only these two situations, although I have told you that there may be some different situations too. You can follow your textbook and you will get those different conditions. So today I have only discussed the working rule for solving the such differential equation when x equal to 0 is a regular singularity. Remember, this rule actually is valid for regular singularity, not irregular singularity. In fact, in irregular singularity, such solutions are not valid. So in second lecture, we will discuss some of the important problems, and when you will solve actually those problems, then this working rule will be clear to you, and so you will find the next lecture on this series again very useful.